Every Bluey fan went wild when the final episode of Season 3 came out, because we found out that the little blue pup is going to be a mom when she grows up. And you know what's even better? Just recently, the creator of the show revealed some super important info about Bluey's future baby.
Oh, nice.
It's been about a year since the surprise episode aired, and the name of the episode couldn't have been more perfect, because everyone was seriously surprised when Bluey's baby popped up at the very end. Ever since then, fans have been wondering whether this little character is a boy or a girl. In fact, here on our channel, we've been calling the baby Roxy, inspired by her color, and also because it's a nice gender-neutral name. Well, good news for us. This and other juicy details came to light on Gotta Be Done, a podcast all about Bluey that has already interviewed Joe Brumm, the creator of the show, a few times. And what he revealed is definitely going to blow your mind. Alright, enough with the suspense. The baby is a girl. A lot of people thought she'd be a boy for a very simple reason. Bandit and Chili already had 2 girls, and their 2 nieces are girls too. So having a male healer baby would have added a bit of variety to the family, but it looks like Bandit and his brother Stripe are naturally inclined to have daughters, which is actually pretty funny since they don't have any sisters themselves. Another reason so many people believed Roxy would be a boy is her color palette, which is even darker than her mom's, and darker colors often get linked to males. But anyone following that logic might have missed one important detail. Bluey herself often gets mistaken for a boy just because she's blue, which is still seen as a boy color. Even today, there are people who've never seen the show and assume the main character is a boy. It's a great reminder that colors aren't really for boys or girls specifically, so making Roxy a little girl was definitely a smart move. And even though both Bluey and Bingo are girls, the show has still managed to build an audience of both girls and boys, which is seriously impressive. If Bluey's daughter ends up becoming the main character in the future, she'll for sure keep that tradition going strong and maybe even take it to the next level, especially since the show is bound to win over tons of new fans when the next episodes come out. And maybe in the upcoming season, we'll get to see if this future member of the Healer family wins our hearts, because there's a good chance she'll show up in an episode that gives us a sneak peek at what's coming for Bluey and her family. So, are you excited to know she's going to be a girl? Or would you have preferred if the next healer pup was a boy? And hey, want to find out even more about Bluey's daughter? Then get comfy and hop on this ride. You're watching another Cinewave. Something else everyone's been wondering about over this past year since the surprise episode aired is, who's Roxy's dad? And that question, sadly, it hasn't been answered yet. However, Joe Brumm did give us a huge clue about who the father might be. The baby's design was made to be a mix of Bluey's looks with Mackenzie's and Jean-Luc's features. Yes, this is not a joke. She's got traits from all 3 characters: Bluey's body shape, Mackenzie's floppy ear and nose, and a color scheme that feels a lot like Jean-Luc's. So, does this mean that somehow this little pup is the child of both dogs? Well, maybe it could happen if she was artificially created, and if her mom managed to win both Mackenzie's and Jean-Luc's hearts. Whoa, Bluey. But honestly, it's hard to imagine Ludo Studios taking things in that direction, since it would be kind of controversial. The real reason Joe Brumm designed this new character this way is exactly because he wanted to keep fans guessing and not give away who Bluey ends up marrying when she grows up. In other words, this pretty much confirms that the father will be either Mackenzie or Jean-Luc and not some other friend of our main character. The real question is, does the creator already know which one it's going to be and is just keeping it under wraps? Or is he still undecided between Mackenzie and Jean-Luc? If it's the latter, that could explain why Roxy has features from both of them. So, who do you want to see as Bluey's future husband? Let us know in the comments below by typing #Mackenzie or #Jean. There's also a third possibility. Even though we said it's unlikely that the baby has a dad other than those 2, we can't deny that her father could actually be a completely new character, one who's a mix of Mackenzie's breed, a border collie, and Jean-Luc's breed, a Labrador. And honestly, that would be the perfect explanation for why Bluey's daughter has traits from both breeds. That would also prove that Joe Brumm is the cheekiest creator in animation history, because he would have made fans spend years theorizing whether Bluey would end up with Mackenzie or Jean-Luc, only to reveal in the end that her husband is some random guy who just so happens to look like both of them. If that ends up being true, a lot of us won't know whether to laugh or cry, me included. At this point, fans are so deep into their theories that some of them are probably wondering if Bluey will use some kind of future machine to fuse Mackenzie and Jean-Luc together just because she can't decide which one she wants to marry. That would be hilarious, but I really doubt the show will go that crazy, unless the writers really want to surprise us. At this point, you just never know. Another thing the show's creator said about Roxy's appearance is that originally, the idea was for her to be a miniature version of her mom, meaning she would have been a little blue pup too. One of the reasons he didn't go with that idea was to avoid people thinking that Bluey married another blue healer, which could also make people believe that he's against mixed-race relationships. This concern came up because in the first 2 seasons, we barely saw any mixed-breed couples or mixed-breed pups, and that was actually one of the main criticisms of the show at the time. Things started to change in the 3rd season, where we began seeing more diversity in this area, especially among the background characters. Missy, for example, who's Bingo's classmate, has a mom of a different breed. To this day, we're not sure if that means she was adopted or if she's just a pup from parents of 2 different breeds. Cornelius, the bulldog who's Winton's dad, even ended up dating the terrier's mom. She, by the way, was introduced in season 3 and isn't even a terrier like her kids. She's actually a schnauzer. So yeah, mixed breeds do exist in the world of Bluey, and it's becoming more and more common. So in the future shown in Surprise, mixed breeds will probably be even more normal, and Roxy's generation will likely be full of pups with all kinds of breed combos, which would make it feel a little strange if her dad ended up being the same breed as her mom. It's actually pretty likely that most of her friends will be mixed too, especially if the fan favorite ships from the cast, like Rusty and Indy or Coco and Snickers, become canon in the future of the series. Either way, we have to agree that Roxy's final look is way cooler than it would have been if she had just been blue like her mom, right? If they both had the same look, it'd be kind of hard to tell them apart, and Roxy would risk living in her mom's shadow for the rest of her life. Thankfully, that's not going to happen. Bluey really is amazing, isn't it? If you want to keep getting our videos about this show and so many others, just hit that subscribe button. The new info Joe Brum gave us definitely helped us get a better idea of who Roxy really is, but something else it did was bust a theory that popped up right after the episode came out and kept going around until pretty recently. The theory that the baby's mom isn't Bluey, but Bingo instead. An impressive number of fans actually believe this could be true since no one had said for sure who the baby's mom was. Plus, Bingo has shown interest in becoming a mom when she grows up. There were lots of other little details that people saw as signs pointing to her being the real mom, like the fact that Bluey didn't come into the house with the baby and no one even asked her about her child. All of this led many to theorize that the little girl had been in the backyard with Bingo and just walked around the house to surprise Bandit. But with this new info, the show's creator himself made it clear that the baby is Bluey's daughter, and this becomes even clearer when he mentioned that the original idea was for the baby to be blue so no one would get confused. In the end though, the baby didn't come out blue, and a whole lot of people did get confused. However, that definitely doesn't mean Bingo will never become a mom, it just means that her pup will be someone else. The strongest theory about who might end up being the father of Bingo's future puppy is that she'll marry Dougie, the deaf boy who appears in the episode Turtle Boy. He's a Cavapoo, so if Bingo really does have a puppy when she grows up, it'll most likely be either a red heeler or a Cavapoo, or maybe even a mix of the two. And since Bluey's baby is a girl, and there are already so many girls in this family, it would be awesome if Bingo broke the streak and finally brought a male healer into the family after a whole generation of girls. But if she ends up bringing yet another girl into the family, well, I guess we'll just have to accept that the healer family is going to be totally run by the ladies, and all we can do is sit back and look forward to seeing Roxy playing with her cousin, just like Bluey and Bingo used to play together when they were little. Let's hope we get to see that happen in the next season. We've got some really fun videos on your screen right now. If you click on one of them, you're guaranteed to have a great time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.